Here it is, SummerSlam. Okay, I'll start it off with
All
it. Hey everybody, this is going to be a review of SummerSlam 1998. I'm with my brother here. We're going to break it down. So overall, what did you think of this SummerSlam?
Overall, I'd probably give it like a four. Overall, I'd give it like a 4 out of 10. Obviously for the time, it was probably a better pay-per-view back then. But looking back on it, match quality wasn't really that great. I think a couple of the last matches, Rock Triple H in the ladder match, and I think the Owen Hart Ken Shamrock in the Lions Den match was actually pretty fun to watch. But aside from that, I was actually a little disappointed in most of the matches and a lot of the wrestlers back then. Looking back on their talent and what they could have done, I think that they could have done better even back then.
All right, well, I think a 4 out of 10 is a little bit too low. I think it's at least maybe a 7. It's definitely one of the better SummerSlams. I think you would have to agree with that, right?
It may be. I haven't watched a lot of those SummerSlams, lately. I think it's one of the more memorable SummerSlams. I think it's much more memorable than some others that maybe some people can think of. But I think if when I think about the wrestling I like to watch, and I think about what I've seen from '98 on, looking back, I give it a 4 out of 10.
That's way too low. I mean, 4 out of 10 is pretty much garbage, and this show was not garbage.
Okay, all right. Well,
All right, I see you're not really that familiar
my
with the
rating.
rating scale. See, I think maybe an 8.0 would be probably
Is this
acceptable.
about the rating scale or is this about the pay-per-view?
All right, let's go right down to it. All right, the first match was D'Lo Brown versus Val Venus for the European title. What do you think of it? It went really, really long, actually.
Yeah, it was a long match. This was a good match. I liked this match. I thought this was a great opener. Um, awesome opener for the SummerSlam, and I think it showed Val Venus's talent and D'Lo's talent to the best of their abilities.
Right, when Val Venus did something, you said, "Oh, he could get away with it because why?"
Oh, because it was the Attitude Era.
Right.
Right. What did you think?
Yeah, the actual match was, I thought it was a little bit too long, but it was good though. I mean, the one thing about this crowd was it was mainly an adult crowd.
Right.
Right, but you could tell, like, a
Yeah.
lot of these people did not give a fuck about, the actual wrestling that was going on,
Yeah.
You could tell they were more this there, they were invested into the characters more so than the wrestling.
Right, the
So,
characters and like whatever controversy they would see, Val Venus. What Robin was referring to is when Val Venus beat up the referee, a face beating up a referee. It's not something you usually see, but because it's the Attitude Era, it's all okay. Um,
all right, so next match was actually the Oddities versus Kaientai. What do you think of this?
Obviously, this is, Jim Ross said. I thought Jim Ross's commentary was great. We didn't advertise this as a classic, and it wasn't, but it was actually kind of funny to watch.
Yeah,
The
it was
Oddities.
interesting. It was kind of wacky. It was kind of all over the place, but
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
it was what it was.
All right, so next up we had the hair versus hair match, X-Pac versus Double J Jeff Jarrett.
I did not think that X-Pac showcased his talents to the best of his abilities. I think he was capable of having a better match, and we saw him do so with talents like Razor Ramon, Shawn Michaels, and Diesel. A couple years prior to this. I'm not a big fan of Double J. I never really was, and I thought that this match was decent. It was decent for what those guys can do, but considering how athletic X-Pac is, I expected a better and longer match out of both these guys.
I thought this was really good, actually. I think Jeff Jarrett, he's just amazing on the mic. I think he's a great heel. I think he does a great job of making things seem important. And no, I thought X-Pac looked awesome here. He had the crowd on his side. It wasn't an amazing match, but it was a solid mid-card match. Jarrett actually got his head shaved. No, sort of, not
That was
really all
kind
the
of
way.
funny. It was funny. It wasn't bad at all. I'm just saying I expect more.
All right, next we had Edge and Sable versus Marc Mero and Jacqueline. Uh, the Jacqueline Sable feud was pretty big in 1998. It was probably,
Yeah.
other than Austin versus McMahon, this is probably the biggest drawn feud that the WWF had in '98, right? Because a lot of people just ordered
Yeah.
ordered those matches just to see Sable,
It was
stripped down.
Yeah, it was a big deal because of how hot Sable was, and her romance with Mark Merrill kind of breaking up there. But as far as the match is concerned, this match put me to sleep. I'm not even going to think back. Oh, but back in 1998, this was what was going on. I don't care. This match bored the crap out of me. It was nice to see Edge come out and
Edge has been around for a while. I mean, he pretty much
yeah,
looks exactly the same as he does right now.
almost,
Almost. He was a little bit better shape back
in a
then.
little bit better shape. But I still, I think there would have been a much better opportunity for Edge to showcase his abilities and a better match.
Okay, all right. Next up, we have the New Age Outlaws versus Mankind for the tag team titles. Basically, what did Vince McMahon do? He made sure Kane didn't come out to help Mankind, so Mankind had to defend the belts by himself. And
Yeah.
basically, New Age Outlaws, Billy Gunn and Jesse, what was it, the Road Dogg, Jesse James. They just beat the crap out of him. There's some nice
Yeah.
table spots. Pretty good action, but it was kind of a squash match, right?
Yeah, it was a squash match, which is Mankind versus the Outlaws. That was it. I think honestly, if Kane was in there, it would have hurt his character. I thought it was good for what it was, but it wasn't anything special. I think it was probably less than 10 minutes.
Right, that's a good point. They wanted to keep Kane as this dominant monster.
Yeah.
And so he actually chokeslammed Mankind in the garbage bin. He came out of nowhere.
Right.
From the dumpster?
Well, no, he hit him with a sledgehammer.
Right. Oh, that's what happened.
And, okay, Mick Foley gets his ass kicked.
All right, now...
But Foley, they were on Foley's side. They were cheering for Foley. And I think that's what was good about that match.
Okay, all right, so... I'm sorry, we got to go back. We had Ken Shamrock versus Owen Hart, the Lions Den match.
Yeah.
What do you think of this?
This was one of my favorite matches on the show, actually, just because of the concept. I know Ken Shamrock wasn't really, I always knew I wasn't really a big fan of him, but I thought Owen Hart was good, and I thought Ken was good in this match too. I thought it was cool, some of the ways they used, that cage. I thought it was a little weird to see Ken Shamrock trying to jump off it, but still, yeah. I thought this was a unique match, a little technical.
He kept on springboarding off the cage.
Yeah,
it looked cool, but I just thought it was kind of weird.
It's kind of weird to see him do that.
It was very, very refreshing, a very refreshing match, something different. I mean, this actually took place in the Paramount part of the Madison Square Garden, which was packed as well. So this show definitely made a lot of money.
Yeah.
All right, so next up we had the match of the night, the ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship, The Rock versus Triple H. The Rock cut an awesome promo before the match. But what did you think of this? Where does it stand as far as greatest ladder matches of all time? I would say it's probably, it's definitely up there, right?
It's not one of my favorites. It's not one of my favorite ladder matches, but I think I like it. I still like it just as a match for them, for The Rock and Triple H. I thought it was an important match for both of them, both those guys at that point in their careers. Triple H winning the title, The Rock, having had the title for a while. The Intercontinental title meant so much more back then in 1998. And it's nice. One of my favorite things about watching some of these old pay-per-views is seeing how they use the IC title. Because it was a couple of years after that, the IC title sort of became this title where everybody was getting it. And then, it kind of eventually faded into the background years and years later. So that's what I like about this match. I think it's a great Intercontinental Championship match between two future main eventers and two future Hall of Famers. And
even though The Rock was a heel, you would probably say that the crowd was pretty much more on The Rock's side.
Probably. Yeah. They were chanting for Rock.
And the crowd was great in this match. They reacted great for the pedigree, for the People's Elbow, the Rock Bottom.
Yeah.
There were some brutal spots in the match. Yeah. Triple H actually took a backdrop on the ladder. I think Rock actually did the Rock Bottom off the top of the ladder to Triple H, or off the middle of the ladder to Triple H. So it was a good match. It wasn't pretty though. It was a little bit sloppy, but I would say it's probably up there. I would say maybe the 6th or 7th greatest ladder match in WWE history. Maybe something like that.
Coming to a YouTube video near you.
All right. Next up we have the main event: Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Undertaker for the WWE Championship. What'd you think of this?
I thought this was a decent main event. I think I've never enjoyed or really loved the matches that these guys have with each other. They had a match at Judgment Day 2001, it's kind of boring. They had a match at Backlash 2002, which was pretty boring. Mm-hmm. And this one, I'd say, was probably one of the more exciting matches they had.
A lot of people consider this their best match, actually.
And I understand why. Not only because of, it was a little more fast-paced. It was 98. Austin was hotter than ever, obviously. Great table shot when Undertaker took a leg drop on the table. But still, not as good as I think a lot of people would expect.
Well, here's the problem with this match. Austin talked about this in his documentary before. He actually... I think he was knocked out. I think he got a concussion in this match. He lifted his head up and hit Undertaker in the chin by accident, and that kind of knocked him out. Yeah. Or Undertaker hit him in the chin, or whatever it was. So yeah, I mean this match is very very methodical. I think Austin was during 1998 he was suffering a lot of the side effects from the neck injury from the Owen Hart pile driver, and I just don't think he's really recovered by this time. And he was just very very sluggish out there. But it was still a fun match. The crowd was still into it. But I just think Austin. I would say Austin's matches were a lot better in 2001. I just thought he was a better performer in 2001, judging by the way he moved, comparing that to 98. So overall, I would say this is a good SummerSlam. Not amazing though. I think it's kind of overrated. I don't see. I know I have heard some people say that this is actually better than 2002. I totally disagree with that. But that's pretty much it. You have any final thoughts?
No, not at all. 2002 was the best.
All right. Thanks for watching.